Welcome, everyone, to this interview we're going to have with Brian Shannon, where we're getting ready for the Go Low long only tournament that we're having over at Trade Ideas. That starts January 24th. So we're just going to chat a little bit about Brian, who's been gracious enough. He's going to join us. He's going to play. So you're going to be playing against one of the masters out there. And we're going to talk about a little bit about how he's going to approach that. So first of all, if you don't know, you should. Brian Shannon's from alphatrends.net. He's been doing this forever. I know I've mentioned a few times that I used to watch both Brian and Steve's videos way back when I started prop trading in 2006, kind of the OGs of YouTube when it comes to putting trading content. I remember you guys used to have to edit your videos like under, was it 5 or 10 minutes? Because YouTube had like a limit of what you could put up. So this is going to be awesome. So let's just get into it. So first of all, a long only tournament, and it's going to be a tournament. So there's going to be a little bit more risk involved. Do you have any plans of anything you're going to do differently? Or are you going to try to copy your original trading from it? How are you planning on doing this?
Well, being it is a tournament, and I know there's a lot of people out there, gunslingers on those stocks that are moving 100% per day. I don't think I'm going to win this thing. I'm gonna go out there on a limb and say I'm not shooting to win, but I will do some riskier type plays that I might normally shy away from. Maybe some small biotechs if they're moving, and size up the position. That's the only way you can really get a big percentage move. But I want to do it with the same principles I always have. So in other words, I'm going to use anchored volume weighted average price levels. I'm going to use multiple time frames. I won't trade against the direction of the 5-day moving average. So I'm going to stay true to the process, but I'm going to try to remember that this isn't real money. And let's see what we can do. Have a little mad money account on the sideline for that other little crazy personality on the side of your shoulder, always whispering you to size up and do things that you might regret.
So a little more
Just jump
fun,
in here.
I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
So
Steve.
between the two of us, we got 50 years experience here going on between Brian and myself. And I have confidence that Brian's just going to post a nice green number after a few days. And I'm really happy that he's joining us for this particular segment because the last few have been some crazy gunslingers. And the last hour have just been just crazy. So let's go over the rules real quick, Michael. We made this intentionally not too many rules, but the major ones are as follow. They've got to be stocks over $1. There is no shorting, and you need to make at least 10 round trip trades. Okay.
On
We
10
really encourage you
different
to hold on 10 different stocks.
10 different
Yes.
securities,
Okay.
just to
You
make
can't just
sure,
keep hammering.
right, it doesn't
Yeah, you
yield
can't just
in and out.
keep hammering the same symbol over and over, trying to game the spread or anything like that. We need to see you being diversified, and we really are encouraging you to hold overnight. You might get some great gains overnight if you're on the right swing trade path. But yeah, those are the rules. They're going to be real simple. If you try and short a stock, you're going to get rejected. It's long only. Big thing to point out here, the day it starts is a Wednesday, the 24th it goes live. So the people that are joining us, they literally have Monday and Tuesday to get familiar with the product and get familiar with the simulation. And we're going to have some webinars and some real-time coaching to get people's learning curve up to speed so they're ready to go on the 24th. And by the way, pre-market, I believe, is when the trading starts. Is that correct, Michael?
That's
Pre-market on
right.
the 24th?
Yeah, pre-market on the
Okay,
24th. Yeah, great breakdown of the rules. And it's interesting because you're right. There was some insane, I think the last winner turned 100,000 into like 3.5 million in 3 days. So obviously doing a lot of shoot from the hip kind of thing. So let's chat a little bit to Brian about VWAP. Now we have a product that I'm going to show here built in to Trade Ideas, all about VWAP. What are you going to look for? So generally speaking, I know a lot of your VWAP setups are kind of, you like to plan out your trades in steps, right? This stock is coming down to this VWAP. That's interesting. Now I need to wait for this, and now I need to wait for this. The issue I think you're going to have is that you only have a couple days. So are you just going to pull from your existing list? Is there a particular scan or setup that you're going to look for? And yeah, just walk us through the process.
Most likely, I'll pull from my existing list, but truthfully, the stocks that I typically look at that I'm looking to swing trade aren't the ones that are going to likely win a tournament. I'll look at my stock list and see if maybe some of the positions have warrants, and maybe trade some warrants in there if those are legal in the contest,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
just to get that extra leverage. But I will most likely look to an active list, maybe things that have just recently broken out. So the days before, I'll look at a new high list, up most percentage, down most percentage, and see if they're maybe coming. Let's say we have. Some of the Bitcoin miners, for instance, have been getting the snot kicked out of them the last couple of
Hmm.
days since the ETFs were approved. Maybe those are going to be in a position to bounce, and they wouldn't normally be a stock that I would buy just because the momentum's so strong against them. But if they're coming into a key level and they start to bounce a little bit, not being real money, I think I would take a little bit of extra risk and put it into a tournament type of trade.
Brian, I noticed I did the same thing. I participated in the last two tournaments, and I took the opportunity to try things you normally wouldn't try with bigger size, different entries. So there's no pain if you're wrong, but it can be a
Yeah.
tremendous learning experience for new traders. I also want to mention that levered ETFs are in play. So if you want to play
Okay.
TZAs and SQQs and FAS and whatnot, those are in play. I'm actually long some
That's good to
TZA
know.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where you're going to get your bang for your buck. And
And a
uh,
good way to short, right? So a lot of people, if you are
Oh, to
going to
cheat in
short,
this tournament so we can get short exposure in a
you
long only.
can get short
Yeah.
exposure using long only ETFs. You are correct. So there you go. There's a little insight for you users out
um,
there.
and the
So
reason
it's
for
like
that is
it's like trading an IRA.
that was going to
Exactly.
be
That's
my
why we're
point.
calling.
Yeah, that's the reason for we're trying to simulate because a lot of people do trading in IRAs or 401ks or different tax deferred kind of instruments, and they're not allowed to short. So we wanted to allow these ETFs because you know yourself, if you're trading from the long side and maybe even you're just worried about some event that's going to happen overnight or something, it's good to pick up a little bit of an inverse ETF in order to get that short exposure. And not only the broad market inverse ETFs, but the symbols are actually, remind me if you guys know them, but there are inverse individual symbol ETFs out there. Like there's an inverse
Well,
NVIDIA ETF, I think,
NVDS, yeah. But
NVDS.
there's a Tesla TSLQ. I think it's 1.5 times short.
Yeah, so
And
if you want
yeah,
to top pick NVIDIA, again, this is the way that you can do it from the long
Fair game.
side. You're not going to break the rules, and you'll still maybe if you want to try to top pick this monster, it might be a good little trade.
Hey, Michael, if you could put up Uber, I'd like to thank Brian for awakening me to the Anchored View app. We have on our Market Explorer the Anchored View app pullback. Just use that first low there under the D and anchor that. That was done automatically for me last weekend. And I happened to notice that coming in, there was some nice support there at that pullback to the daily Anchored View app. And that became our trade of the week. And so that was a free swing trade to all of our users and, incorporating, Brian's technical analysis for this. Much appreciated.
beauty. Nicely done.
Yeah, and if there's anyone watching this who doesn't know, we have a product that we built in conjunction with Brian that actually not only scans for anchored VWAP pullbacks, IPO anchored VWAPs, which is actually something I'm playing a lot because IPOs seem to be kind of picking up steam a little bit now that we're out of the crazy bear market territory. And not only that, as you can see as I click through, it's scanning for them, but it's also drawing the anchored VWAP for you. And I know that's a question that Brian gets
That's
all the
nice.
time is saying, okay, I read the book. Where do I now actually put the anchored VWAP? Where do I draw it from? Well, this takes that guesswork out for you. Again, depending on what I'm clicking here, you're seeing this AVWAP being completely drawn in without me having to know. It's just saying the scan has found this. There's an anchored VWAP right here. Take a look at it and do your other kind of research. Maybe it falls in. But yeah, I've noticed some of these. Okay, we're here on SVV. And I did one from the high because I figured if we're trying to find when the average is, this kind of pinch makes sense to me. And the reason that
Mhm.
I actually found this was the 34% short float on this name.
Ah, nice.
That to me is super interesting. So yeah, so I was scanning through the other day and I found that one. I found a few, I think Kava. Again, I don't know a lot of these American brands, so you guys will have to forgive me. But Kava was a big deal. I guess they do salads or something.
I've heard of it, and people talk highly of their food. I've never seen one of their
Yeah,
restaurants.
that one popped through. There was a couple of these I started to watch because, as you know, IPOs generally don't do well in bear markets, right? People aren't looking for new investment ideas in a bear market, right? What they're looking for is, safety and all of this. But when you get into this bull market again, things look a little bit interesting. And the other last one was PHIN. I don't even know what these guys do. Just a little tiny float guy. But
Mm.
if you want an example for holding its anchored view app from IPO, I think this is an absolutely perfect example because it went, broke it, and then it's pulled back, and then so far looks like it's holding that anchored view app
Yeah.
from the IPO. So that one I'm watching. They're auto parts, but it's a 40 million share float. So this one could get moving as well. But yeah, it's just great to be able to use these scans and use this idea in order to find these anchored view app plays. Just searching for. I have a list of questions that we're through here, but yeah. So I guess the biggest one is we have a bunch of old heads here who've been trading for a long time. We all are kind of stuck in our ways, and we have some types of patterns and things that we look for. But if you were someone brand new who's just going into this and trying to figure out how to make a tournament win, what would you suggest, I guess, for the new trader, the guy who has really no idea where to get started? Where should he focus his attention to get kind of that best use of his time?
Michael, that's a good question, and I'm not really sure I'm qualified to answer it because I can't put my head into that frame that, as you just said, I don't feel stuck in what I do, but I definitely have my patterns and I know what works for me. So for someone who's trying to find their way in the market and to, younger trader to look into these big moves, um, I'm just going to have to pass on this question because I'm at a loss.
All right.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
Michael,
okay. Go ahead, Steve.
bring up your single stock window, and I would say any new trader can probably figure out what is the hot sector of the day. I don't know what the hot sector is going to be on the 24th, but there's going to be a hot sector. And we've got that tool in there that if you see a particular stock that's leading a particular sector, I'm not even going to come up with an example, but you type that stock in, you use our single stock window, and you see the competitors. One of the
Hmm.
easiest ways to try and figure out what to focus my attention on is top down approach. What's the market doing? What's the strong sector? And then we have this single stock window where you can see all the competitors, all the same players in the same sector. That might be something that can help hone in the focus of a new trader because there's 8,000 symbols out there, and you've got to figure out some sort of semblance and method as to what you're going to focus on. So if it's biotech, you take the biotech that has the news and you go to that heat map there that you're on, and you see who their competitors are, and you start to get ideas of what might be in play.
That's good.
So you just had two AI stocks, JTAI and MD or BAI. Maybe the AI names are heating up. So as you said,
Maybe.
Steve, go look at the AI stocks and look for something that maybe is ready to pop in there.
Okay, last but not
That's what I
least,
would say.
position
Mhm.
sizing. So, right, so we have $401,000. That's your account, right? And you've got only a few days to trade it. Now, generally speaking, again, we always want to separate contests from the real world. Generally speaking, you want to pick a percentage of your value of your account. You want to keep that like a really small number, like less than, I always say less than 1%, probably less than a half a percent. But you're doing a contest. So of your $400,000, you sit in, you're going to take your first trade. How much of that 400K do you think you're risking?
Contest? Probably all of it. Can I
Oh,
leverage it?
All in the first trade. But you'll have to, right?
I
We
mean, if I
told.
like it, if it's a trade that I really like and I think it has the chance, then sure, of course I would.
And then the other thing that I want to give, just as the advice that I would give someone who's doing this, watching these, I do the nightly wrap up videos where we talk every night about who's winning. We all know that compounding in trading is super important for the long term, right? We always want to, buy a trade, hopefully make 10 whatever percent, and then compound over time, over the months and years, so that account grows, exponentially as opposed to linearly. Now, when you got a couple day contest, you've got to do that quickly. So if you take your trade like Brian and you go all in with 400K, and let's say you do well and you make $100,000 out of that trade, you got to understand next time you have 500,000, right? And that's how these people are putting in these insane returns, is constantly just going into and compounding these accounts until they get absolutely crazy. So, any final thoughts from the two of you guys? And if not, we'll end her here.
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a
Great.
fun little exercise.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to people joining and taking Monday and Tuesday, taking advantage of those practice days. Come on in, let us show you how around. So when Wednesday comes and the gun goes off, so to speak, you don't have any issues. So that's my advice.
Cool.
Then you
All
can
right.
win a great prize,
Sure
$2,400
can.
gift card, right?
Hey, and if you
Heck
win
yeah.
it while you're on Amazon, make sure you look up Brian Shannon. There's 2 books there. Put some of that $2,400 into those books and learn a little bit more. So hopefully it will help your trading in the future. So I want to thank you, Brian. I want to thank you, Steve. I want to thank everyone who's watching this and getting excited for the competition on January 24th.